are some that involve two angles, and for those, the two angles are denoted alpha and beta.
It is important for us to know the value of special right triangles so we can easily solve the problem.
Let us now discuss the trigonometric identities involving sum and difference of angles.
Let us discuss first about the sign. The formulas for getting the sum and difference of sign is, for addition, we have sine A plus B is equals to sine A multiplied by cosine B added to cosine A multiplied by sine B. For subtraction, we have sine A minus B is equals to sine A multiplied by cosine B minus cosine A multiplied by sine B. Our next example is subtraction. So we have here sine 15 degrees. So, like just what we did in addition, we have to think of two common angles that their difference is 15 degrees. So the two common angles are 45 degrees and 30 degrees. 45 degrees will be our A and 30 degrees will be our B. Now, let's substitute it to our formula. Sine 45 degrees minus 30 degrees is equals to sine 45 degrees multiplied by cosine 30 degrees minus cosine 45 degrees multiplied by sine 30 degrees. So sine 45 degrees is equals to the square root of 2 over 2. Cosine 30 degrees is equals to the square root of 3 over 2 minus cosine 45 degrees, the square root of 2 over 2, and sine 30 degrees equals to 1/2. So when you multiply these two numbers, the answer will be the square root of 6 over 4. The square root of 2 over 2 multiplied by 1/2 is equals to the square root of 2 over 4. So we need to do this as one fraction. So our final answer will be the square root of 6 minus the square root of 2 over 4. Since we are done now with sine, let us now go with cosine. Here are the formulas for cosine. For addition, we have cosine A plus B is equals to cosine A multiplied by cosine B minus sine A times sine B. For subtraction, we have cosine A minus B is equals to cosine A multiplied by cosine B plus sine A multiplied by sine B. Notice here that we have a change of sign in adding and subtracting an angle. It is very important not to forget this part so you can have a correct answer in solving the problem. Since we are done now with sine, let us now go with cosine. Here are the formulas for cosine. For addition, we have cosine A plus B is equals to cosine A multiplied by cosine B minus sine A times sine B. For subtraction, we have cosine A minus B is equals to cosine A multiplied by cosine B plus sine A multiplied by sine B. Notice here that we have a change of sign in adding and subtracting an angle. It is very important not to forget this part so you can have a correct answer in solving the problem. Here is the sample problem for addition of cosine. We have here cosine 105 degrees. Just like the method that we did in sine, we just need to think of two common angles, then when you add, their sum is equals to 105 degrees. So, the two angles are 60 degrees and 45 degrees. 60 degrees will be our A and 45 degrees will be our B. Now, substitute it to our formula. Cosine 60 degrees plus 45 degrees is equals to cosine 60 degrees multiplied by cosine 45 degrees minus sine 60 degrees multiplied by sine 45 degrees. Cosine 60 degrees is equals to 1/2. Cosine 45 degrees is equals to the square root of 2 over 2 minus sine 60 degrees, the square root of 3 over 2, and sine 45 degrees, which is the square root of 2 over 2. When you multiplied 1/2 by the square root of 2 over 2, the answer will be the square root of 2 over 4. When you multiply these two numbers, the answer will be the square root of 6 over 4. The answer here will be the square root of 2 minus the square root of 6 over 4. It is not yet the final answer because we need to simplify it. So, our final answer will be the square root of 6 plus the square root of 2 over 4. Here is the sample problem for addition of cosine. We have here cosine 105 degrees. Just like the method that we did in sine, We just need to think of two common angles, then when you add, their sum is equals to 105 degrees. So, the two angles are 60 degrees and 45 degrees. 60 degrees will be our A and 45 degrees will be our B. Now, substitute it to our formula. Cosine 60 degrees plus 45 degrees is equals to cosine 60 degrees multiplied by cosine 45 degrees minus sine 60 degrees multiplied by sine 45 degrees. Cosine 60 degrees is equals to 1/2. Cosine 45 degrees is equals to the square root of 2 over 2 minus sine 60 degrees the square root of 3 over 2 and sine 45 degrees which is the square root of 2 over 2. When you multiplied 1/2 by the square root of 2 over 2, the answer will be the square root of 2 over 4. When you multiply these two numbers, the answer will be the square root of 6 over 4. The answer here will be the square root of 2 minus the square root of 6 over 4. It is not yet the final answer because we need to simplify it. So, our final answer will be the square root of 6 plus the square root of 2 over 4. Now, let's go on subtraction. Cosine 30 degrees. We just need to think of two common angles that their difference is 30 degrees. So, the two angles are 60 degrees and 30 degrees. 60 degrees will be our A and 30 degrees will be our B. Now, let's substitute it again to our formula. Cosine 60 degrees minus 30 degrees is equals to cosine 60 degrees times cosine 30 degrees plus sine 60 degrees multiplied by sine 30 degrees. Cosine 60 degrees is equals to 1/2. Cosine 30 degrees is equals to the square root of 3 over 2. Sine 60 degrees is equals to the square root of 3 over 2. Sine 30 degrees is equals to 1/2. 1/2 multiplied by the square root of 3 over 2 is equals to the square root of 3 over 4. Same with this, the answer will be the square root of 3 over 4. We just need to add these two numbers. The answer will be 2 the square root of 3 over 4. But we need to simplify it. So our final answer will be the square root of 3 over 2. Since we are done now with cosine, let us now go with tangent. Here are the formulas for tangent. For addition, we have tangent A plus B is equals to tangent A plus tangent B over 1 minus tangent A multiplied by tangent B. For subtraction, we have tangent A minus B is equals to tangent A minus tangent B over 1 plus tangent A multiplied by tangent B. So the change of sign is just here in denominator. Here is the sample problem for addition. We have tangent 23 pi divided by 12. So for us to cancel the pi here, we have to multiply it by 180 degrees divided by pi. Now it is equals to 23 times 180 degrees divided by 12 is equals to 4,140 degrees divided by 12. Our final answer will be 345 degrees. We will use now the tangent 345 degrees. Just like what we did in sine and cosine, we will think of two angles that their sum is 345 degrees. So the angles are 135 degrees and 210 degrees. Those are our A and B. Now let's substitute it to our formula. So tangent 135 degrees plus 210 degrees is equals to tangent 135 degrees plus tangent 210 degrees divided by 1 minus tangent 135 degrees multiplied by tangent 210 degrees. Next, we need to graph it so we know the quadrant of those angles. So 135 degrees lies in quadrant 2 and 210 degrees is here in quadrant 3. The tangent in quadrant 2 is negative while the tangent in quadrant 3 is positive. So tangent 135 degrees is equals to negative 1 plus tangent 210 degrees which is positive the square root of 3 over 3 divided by 1 minus tangent of 135 degrees negative 1 multiplied by the square root of 3 over 3 the tangent of 210 degrees. Now, we need to multiply it by their denominator so we can cancel the fraction in both numerator and denominator. We need to simplify this fraction. So, it will be 12 divided by negative 6 minus 6 the square root of 3 divided by negative 6. 12 divided by negative 6 is negative 2, and negative 6 the square root of 3 divided by negative 6 is equals to positive the square root of 3. Negative 2 plus the square root of 3 will be our final answer. Let us now go with the last part of our discussion, which is the subtraction of tangent. We have here tangent pi over 6. Just like what we did in addition, we have to multiply it by 180 degrees divided by pi. So we can cancel the pi in the denominator and numerator. Now it is equals to 180 degrees divided by 6 is equals to 30 degrees. We will use now the tangent 30 degrees. The two common angles that their difference is 30 degrees are 60 degrees and 30 degrees. This will be our A and 30 degrees will be our B. Now, let's substitute it to our formula. Tangent 60 degrees minus 30 degrees is equals to tangent 60 degrees minus tangent 30 degrees divided by 1 plus tangent 60 degrees multiplied by tangent 30 degrees. In this example, we don't need to graph anymore because we all know that 60 degrees and 30 degrees lies on the same quadrant, which is quadrant 1, and in quadrant 1, all trigonometric functions are positive. So here is the answer. Tangent 60 degrees is equals to the square root of 3 minus tangent 30 degrees, the square root of 3 over 3 divided by 1 plus tangent 60 degrees, which is the square root of 3 multiplied by tangent 30 degrees equals the square root of 3 divided by 3. The answer will be the square root of 3 minus the square root of 3 over 3 divided by 2. Now, since we have a fraction here, we need to get rid of the denominator so we can easily solve the problem. We can multiply both numerator and denominator by 3. The answer will be 3 the square root of 3 minus the square root of 3 divided by 6. Now, just like what we did in addition of tangent, we need to multiply it by the conjugate of the denominator, which is 3 the square root of 3 minus the square root of 3. So, the answer will be 27 minus 9 plus 3 divided by 18 the square root of 3 minus 6 the square root of 3. So, 27 minus 9 is equals to 18, 18 minus 9 is 9, and 9 plus 3 is equals to 12. 18 the square root of 3 minus 6 the square root of 3 is equals to 12 the square root of 3. 12 divided by 12 the square root of 3 is equals to 1 over the square root of 3. We have the radical sign here, so we need to simplify it. 1 over the square root of 3 multiplied by the square root of 3 over the square root of 3. So we can cancel now the radical sign here. The answer will be the square root of 3 over 3. This is our final answer.
We hope that you learned something about our topic. Thank you for watching.